This thing on? Alright, cool. Hey everybody, thanks for coming out. And also thanks to everyone at Inferno Fest for having me. It's a total honor to be here. It's been really cool. I'm really grateful to be here. I almost didn't make it here. I flew here from San Diego, California, and flew from San Diego to Denver, Denver to Munich. And I was stressed out for a couple days because I looked at my passport and my passport is completely full. It's a new passport. It's only been a couple years, so it's been a lot of touring. And that passport, I found one spot on like page 20 that had a little tiny like opening. So I was just crossing my fingers, a little nervous the whole flight. So I got to Munich and I was trying to be strategic about which like border agent, which line I got in. I was like, okay, this is like a younger girl. She looks nice. Maybe I can sweet talk her. So I get to the front of the line. She takes my passport, and I know by now when I go through customs, I wear like a really nice shirt and try to put my hair back because I look like the way I do. So I usually get hassled, and it's a big thing. So I get there, and she like goes through all the pages, and she's like, huh. But your passport is full. And I go, page 20, left corner. And she like just shakes her head and she goes, I really shouldn't do this. And she stamps it and then I get through. So now I'm here. So I'm grateful to be here, and I'm also grateful that just from playing music and playing the drums, I've been able to travel all over the world. I can't say that I've seen a lot, but I've seen a lot of gas stations. So if you guys have questions later about any type of gas stations, I do have to say that Scandinavia has the best hot dog out of all of the gas stations. And I'm from America, I know about hot dogs. So I'm going to cut the bullshit. I'm going to play some songs for you guys, and then I'll talk a little bit about my approach, but I would like you guys to ask some questions, and because you can see me play on YouTube and all that stuff all day long, but the really cool thing is about these drum clinics is we can have some human interaction. I know it's a rare thing these days, but yeah, thanks a lot for coming out, and let's get to it. Yeah! So thanks, guys. That the first tune was a song called Night Splash. It's the Cab record. It's Tony McAlpine, Bunny Burnell, and Dennis Chambers. It's totally outside my comfort zone, but I figured I would just jump in the fire. I kind of like to just try to like see what happens in situations like that. And a lot of the stuff I do, especially with my own playing, is I always feel like I'm just playing at the edge of my ability. I'm always like at the threshold. And I see that with a lot of drummers. They're like kind of pushing as hard as they can go. And I think it also has to do a lot with like, I feel like when you're playing drums, and any instrument really, it's really a direct reflection of how you're feeling. And it comes across more in my own playing. I feel like when I'm filling in with other bands, it's much more like very controlled, and you're trying to play the parts, you're trying not to get fired, and you're trying to get hired again. And then you can start putting your own personality into it. But when I'm playing my own music, so after I play that song, I play 2 songs from a band called Ascended Dead that I play with, and I've been playing with them since I was 17. That was kind of my first real band that led to all these other bands. And that's totally at my threshold. And none of those songs were recorded to a click, so I kind of had to map them out. That the last 2 songs I played, those Blasphemous Cremation from Incantation and then Emaciated Holy Figure. Those are cool tunes because they're all over the place, and they're like, it goes from fast to slow to mid-tempo, and there's just a lot of dynamics in that. And it's kind of like a lost art, that drumming style. I think everybody nowadays is about perfection, and I've never really I never played the instrument to be like perfect with something. I've been playing my whole life. I'll talk a little bit, and then I will open it up for questions. But I feel like I'll talk a little bit now. I've pretty much been playing drums since I started like speaking sentences. I don't really remember a time where I ever didn't play drums. I think I was just hitting stuff when I was a little kid and breaking stuff in the house. Like a lot of drum, you hear a lot of drummers and like a lot of people that I meet that are drummers, and oftentimes it happens. They're like, yeah, I was a little kid and I was just kind of like banging on things, pots and pans. Was probably my first drum kit, and then I think my parents got annoyed of that and then bought me a toy drum kit, and then that quickly got destroyed. And then my mom found at a garage sale like a Ludwig Junior Pro. You can still find those kits. Blue Sparkle it was. And right around that time, I was probably like 5 years old, and I started getting lessons with this guy, Dave Yasikin. And if you don't know who Dave is, he's an incredible drummer. You should check him out. He's still playing and touring. He played with this band, kind of like a pop rock band in the 80s called the Hooters. But he also played with Alice Cooper and Cyndi Lauper, and like I learned just recently he played on all these sessions that I didn't even know about. But yeah, I think I was a really quiet kid, and drums were just an outlet for me. I grew up in kind of a chaotic environment, and so I really don't know a lot about, like, I'll get asked in these podcasts and stuff like, what were your beginnings of drums? I don't really remember a time when I didn't play drums, but I do know Dave was going through the Buddy Rich book with me, which he basically, I was at the age where I'm learning how to read and write sentences, but he was also teaching me how to read music. And the cool thing about those lessons is they were always like really fun. He would come with a guitar and we would jam. It never felt like I had to practice. And I see a lot of, everybody's different, but if I were that age and someone came at me and told me I had to practice and gave me like, some of these clinics that I've seen, they're awesome and a lot of people learn this way, but I don't really want to approach it like a gym instructor or something, or like a drill sergeant. If someone did that to me when I was a kid, I'd probably lose interest right away. So I really didn't have a ton of discipline, but that was like the one thing every week. He would come over and we would just kind of get lost playing drums. And then kind of snowballed from there. I was just always trying to play with people. I think all of my development on the kit, like I've studied things and I've done some practicing, but it's really just a ton of playing, and I'm playing with people. So that's something that's also kind of lost. I think this day and age with the internet, it's awesome. I do a ton of recording sessions remotely, but all the songs I'm playing here today, just by coincidence, they're all songs that were like people in a rehearsal room playing together. And I think there's just a certain energy you get from that human interaction. And just like the feeling you get, so that's why I play from the heart, so there's a lot of dynamics in my playing. And I'm not really focused on being super perfect. It's more, I think of drums as more of a voice and more of an expression, so there's my life story. If anyone has any questions or has any burning desires, yeah, I think we should open it up. I know I've been to some clinics with people that I look up to, and it's usually someone will ask a question and it's on a frame of thinking that I didn't even think about. So that's really opened up my eyes too. So yeah, if anyone has any questions. Yeah.
In death metal drumming, are there any genres that you never mix in from a drumming context, like drum and bass?
Reggaeton.
Maybe reggaeton. No, I mean, it's interesting. I think from my understanding, like most drumming, you're gonna hear like a clave. It doesn't matter any type of genre. You're gonna hear Latin music, and yeah, exactly. And you'll start listening. There was I had a drum teacher that I studied with for a couple of years in Los Angeles named Chuck Silverman. Rest in peace, Chuck. I just did a few lessons with him. I would go to his house, and it wouldn't even really be a lot of technical drumming, but he would just teach me a lot. He was a really good Latin player, and this is kind of getting off topic, but yeah, you can really hear a clave in any type of music. You'll start listen to put any metal record on, and you'll start to hear a clave, which might piss some of these black metal guys off. But there's claves all over that shit. But I don't ever really think of genres that I'm gonna. I've always had an open mind. Like I didn't start out being like, oh, I'm gonna be this metal drummer. It just kind of really happened naturally. I think I was just like a spastic kid with a lot of energy. And but I grew up like this guy Dave. We were like studying Steve Gadd but like a lot of the rock. I feel like I'm more of a rock drummer that plays metal because I was just like I love like Ian Pace and Bill Ward and Ginger Baker and these guys, and I think that's why like the incantation stuff works really well. But yeah, I don't think there's any. If I hear something I don't like, obviously I'm not going to incorporate it in my playing. I'll usually. I feel like I don't take a lot from metal drumming though. I feel like I have influence out, and sometimes it's not even music. I think most of the stuff you heard me play, other than the incantation songs, like my own stuff, it's really influenced from guitar players and guitar riffs. And like I came up with a drum beat because I either heard a riff in my head and then hummed it to the guys like an idiot, or they'll play a guitar riff and then I'll kind of sing it in my head. And I do that often when I play too. I'll especially with the mid-tempo stuff, and now really anything I do, it's kind of a new concept that I've been doing is I'll really I'll get in the guitar player's shoes while I'm playing drums. And I'll even do it live. That helps me feel like I can feel the pocket a little bit more. Because I'll play, oftentimes I play to a click and tempo map, but I don't have pre-recorded guitars. I'm also playing to the band, so there's a push and pull kind of element. You can play behind the click or in front of it. Which is also kind of an interesting topic. But yeah, I don't really it's not like any genre that I'll take out. It's good to have an open mind. Yeah.
I have a quick follow-up
Yeah.
question. How long do you take to map out and plan drum parts? Is it spontaneous, or do you set like a few weeks to
I've gone both ways with it, but I think what works best for me is being pretty spontaneous. But I always like to hear the song in the whole first. I'll never go sure, I'll figure out patterns, but I'll really if I'm part of the songwriting process, I'll try to hear it as a whole, and then as a drummer, it's fun to do all these licks and stuff, but you're really just a timekeeper. So first and foremost, just keeping time through the song and keeping the rest of the band on track, and really it's all about arrangements. And so so I'll kind of do a placeholder, and then I'll play around with it. And I'm also a recording engineer, and that's kind of happened also naturally the same way I've been playing. It's kind of just out of necessity, and now I'm kind of obsessed over it. And I think as a drummer, we play an acoustic instrument, so it's a really good idea to at least have a basic understanding on the way signal path and microphones work and stuff, because I'm usually pretty spontaneous. Even in the studio, I'll know the structure, but I don't actually play my parts until sometimes day of, and it's whatever's happening in the moment. But you're never going to be satisfied if you overthink this stuff. It's probably going to just get a little stale, and I don't like to lose perspective. If I focus on something for too long, then I don't know if it's good or bad anymore. So I'll usually play on a record. Oftentimes I'll chart it out, and then I'll chart out just like a basic structure, and then I'll just see what happens. I'll do some takes, and then hopefully I'm working with some other people, because then they can tell me if something sucks or if it's okay. And oftentimes the first few takes are going to be good. But yeah, I always think of it as a whole, and not even a whole song, but if there's a whole record ready, I like to listen to the whole thing, and then that'll give you a context of how I'm going to make this part. I'm focused more on the feel rather than the individual notes. So I hope that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Tough crowd. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah.
It's a question, more like technical question.
Yeah.
Especially when you do double drums.
Yeah.
I started drumming not too long ago myself.
Okay.
So how about tell a little bit about the leg movement?
Yeah.
So like the hip movement and the foot, like how do you do it?
It's kind of an interesting question. It's different depending on what I'm doing, but a lot of it comes from like, I think just being like a nervous kid, and also like playing on the ground. So a lot of it comes from the hips when I play. But depending on what you're doing, sometimes if I'm playing really, like in a super